What would compel one of China's busiest actresses to quietly slip into a massive empty stadium and sit by herself in the vacant audience section watching a man rehearse his concert choreography? And why would she choose to be there during a private technical run-through rather than waiting for the actual performance when the venue would be filled with thousands of other fans? The revelation that emerged overnight through leaked backstage crew photos has exposed an achingly intimate moment that was never meant for public consumption, showing Zhao Lusi alone in an otherwise completely empty concert venue sitting in what appears to be the center orchestra section. Her full attention focused on the distant stage where Liu Yuning was running through his performance with his dance team and technical crew, apparently completely unaware that the woman he has been publicly and privately connected to for months was quietly watching his every move from the darkness of the empty auditorium. The photograph that has now been viewed over 300 million times shows the stark contrast between the brightly lit stage where Liu Yuning and his team are visible mid-rehearsal, and the dark empty seating areas where Zhao Lusi sits alone, a solitary figure in thousands of vacant seats, creating an image so powerfully melancholic and romantic that fans report being unable to look at it without feeling overwhelming emotion about what it reveals about her feelings and her desire to support him even in moments when her presence serves no purpose except to witness his work and be near him. Why would Zhao Lusi choose to attend a rehearsal rather than the actual concert performance, and does her solitary presence in the empty venue suggest she wanted a private moment to watch Liu Yuning work without the pressure and observation that would come from attending the public show where her presence would immediately become a spectacle overshadowing his performance? Multiple crew members who were present during the rehearsal confirmed that Zhao Lusi arrived quietly through a back entrance without fanfare or announcement, apparently having coordinated with someone on Liu Yuning's team to gain access to the venue during the closed technical rehearsal, when only essential personnel were supposed to be present. The decision to come alone without any of her own staff or companions, to sit in the dark empty audience rather than backstage or in some VIP area where she might be more comfortable, and to simply watch silently for what sources say was nearly 2 hours of technical run-throughs suggests she wanted an authentic unobserved experience of seeing Liu Yuning work and perform without any of the usual mediation or performance that occurs when public or media are present. The detail that has fans absolutely destroyed emotionally is that according to crew members who witnessed the scene, Zhao Lusi appeared to be crying at multiple points during the rehearsal, visible wiping her eyes and face even though she was sitting alone in darkness and presumably believed nobody could see her emotional response to watching Liu Yuning perform. The fact that she was moved to tears not by some elaborate finished performance in front of massive crowd but by a technical rehearsal with frequent stops and starts, performers in practice clothes running through choreography with occasional mistakes and adjustments, Liu Yuning's voice occasionally audible giving directions or discussing changes with his team, suggests that what affected her emotionally was not the polish or spectacle of performance, but simply witnessing the dedication and artistry he brings to his work and perhaps being overwhelmed by feelings about him that manifested as tears during this private, unguarded moment. The image of her sitting alone in the darkness crying, while watching him rehearse has become instant iconic representation of devotion and love that has resonated with millions of people who understand the specific emotion of being so moved by someone you care about that simply watching them do what they love reduces you to tears. The concert rehearsal that Zhao Lusi attended was a full technical run-through scheduled for the day before Liu Yuning's major solo concert, one of the most anticipated performances of his career featuring new choreography, original music, elaborate staging and visual effects, and guest appearances from other artists. The rehearsal was closed to public and media with only essential production crew, backup dancers, musicians, and technical staff present to work through timing, lighting cues, sound levels, choreography placement, and all the complex coordinated elements that must function perfectly during the actual performance. The atmosphere during such rehearsals is typically focused and workmanlike rather than performative, with frequent stops to adjust details and make corrections, performers in casual practice clothing rather than concert costumes, and none of the energy or excitement that comes from performing for responsive audience. Zhao Lusi's choice to sit in the regular audience seating, rather than in a designated VIP area or production booth, where she might have had better view and more comfort reflects what appears to be her desire to experience the rehearsal as closely as possible to how regular audience members would experience the actual concert, to see Liu Yuning from the perspective of the fans who love him rather than from some privileged protected vantage point. The specific seat she chose, apparently in the center orchestra section with optimal sightlines to the stage, suggests careful thought about positioning herself where she could see everything clearly while remaining relatively inconspicuous in the vast dark emptiness of the vacant arena. The duration of Zhao Lusi's stay, reportedly close to 2 hours covering most of the rehearsal's scheduled runtime, indicates genuine interest and investment in watching the work rather than just making brief appearance or checking in. Crew members who were aware of her presence describe her as being completely focused on the stage throughout, never checking her phone or appearing distracted or bored, despite the repetitive nature of technical rehearsals where the same sections are often performed multiple times with adjustments. Her attention and engagement with what was happening on stage apparently never wavered, even during the more tedious technical portions of the rehearsal where crew were adjusting lighting or sound while performers stood idle waiting. Liu Yuning's awareness or lack of awareness of Zhao Lusi's presence in the audience during his rehearsal has become a subject of intense speculation and disagreement among sources, with some claiming he definitely knew she was there and was performing for her even while going through technical motions with his team, while others insist he had no idea she was present and that the entire experience was Zhao Lusi privately watching without his knowledge. The uncertainty on this crucial detail significantly affects interpretation of the entire situation, as the dynamic between someone knowingly performing for a beloved observer versus someone being secretly watched without knowledge creates very different emotional meanings and implications. The moments when Zhao Lusi was observed crying during the rehearsal reportedly occurred during Liu Yuning's performance of particularly emotional ballad numbers, suggesting that the combination of the music's content, his vocal delivery even in rehearsal setting, and her own feelings about him and their relationship created emotional overflow that manifested as tears. Crew members who noticed her emotional state apparently made the compassionate choice not to approach or disturb her, recognizing that she was having a private moment despite the technically public setting, and that she deserved space to feel whatever she was experiencing without interference or observation beyond what was incidental. The photograph that has exposed this private moment and made it public was apparently taken by a crew member who was struck by the poignant visual of Zhao Lusi sitting alone in the massive empty venue and captured the image without initially intending to share it publicly. The decision to eventually leak or share the photograph has generated controversy and criticism from fans who feel this was a violation of Zhao Lusi's privacy during what was clearly meant to be a personal experience, while others argue that the beauty and emotional power of the image justifies its public existence, even if the method of its release was questionable. The photograph itself is remarkably composed despite being apparently taken quickly on a phone, with the lighting creating perfect contrast between the illuminated stage in the distance and the dark foreground where Zhao Lusi's solitary figure is just visible. The meaning and significance of Zhao Lusi's choice to attend Liu Yuning's rehearsal has been analyzed extensively by fans and relationship observers, attempting to understand what motivated this decision and what it reveals about her feelings and their relationship dynamic. The most romantic interpretation sees her attendance as expression of pure love and support, wanting to witness his creative process and dedication to his art, finding beauty and meaning in watching him work that goes beyond the finished, polished public performance. This interpretation casts her tears as emotional response to witnessing someone she loves doing something they're passionate about with complete commitment and skill. Alternative interpretations focus on possible loneliness or melancholy suggested by her solitary presence in the empty venue, wondering whether her tears might reflect sadness about the nature of their relationship, or the challenges of loving someone whose career demands so much time and energy. The image of her alone in thousands of empty seats while he is surrounded by his team and focused on his work has struck some observers as potentially representing feeling of isolation or secondary importance despite the relationship's intensity, though this darker interpretation is rejected by fans who prefer to see the moment as purely romantic and supportive. The reaction from both Zhao Lusi and Liu Yuning's management teams to the leaked photograph and public knowledge of her rehearsal attendance has been complete silence, with neither side issuing any statement or comment about the incident. This silence has been interpreted various ways, with some seeing it as confirmation that the moment was indeed private, and that both parties are uncomfortable with its public exposure, while others suggest the silence simply reflects their ongoing general policy of not commenting on their relationship or personal interactions regardless of what becomes public. Fan community response has been overwhelmingly emotional, with millions of people expressing that the image and the story of Zhao Lusi watching alone while Liu Yuning rehearsed has touched them deeply and represents something profoundly meaningful about love, support, dedication, and the specific experience of caring about someone whose work and passion sometimes requires them to be focused elsewhere. The creative response from fans has included artwork, fiction, poetry, and videos inspired by the photograph, and imagining the emotional experience for both parties, creating additional layers of meaning and narrative around what is already deeply affecting moment. In conclusion, the accidental revelation through a leaked photograph that Zhao Lusi quietly attended Liu Yuning's concert rehearsal and sat alone in the empty stadium watching him work, apparently moved to tears at multiple points during the technical run-through, has exposed an achingly intimate and vulnerable moment that provides unprecedented glimpse into her feelings and the nature of their connection. The choice to be there not for the polished public performance but for the raw work of rehearsal, to sit alone in darkness rather than seeking VIP treatment or backstage access, and to simply witness his dedication and artistry without any agenda beyond being present and supportive reveals a depth of feeling and devotion that transcends typical celebrity relationship performance. The image of her solitary figure in thousands of empty seats, watching the distant lit stage where Liu Yuning worked with his team completely unaware or perhaps knowingly performing for an audience of one,